beyond imagining. The pinnacle of human achievement and the envy of the world. Did you think it would last? The Eternal City. That glorious monument to power, culture, and learning. But the old wolf lies wounded by jackals, circled by vultures. Worried to death by 1,000 tiny vicious mouths brought low by your own arrogance. These are the death throes of Rome. The light of civilization dims and gathers. And you've such precious time left to hide your women, for your children to cry. Even at the moment of your final defeat, you will take no comfort in oblivion. For I am coming for you. I ride with a million warriors. I bring the end of days. I am the scourge of God. And I will watch your world burn.
All right. Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Maccabee from GMS, Colorado. Coming back at you again with, this is part 4 of the series I've been working on called The Death Throes of Rome. Trying to, basically chronologize the fall of Rome and how it parallels with what will essentially be the fall of the United States of America. Okay? So they were built under, the same pretense with the same essential laws, the same essential idea, followed to the T, really. You Edomites have a history, man, of, repeating your mistakes. You do the same things essentially over and over, and it never works out for you. And you always reach a certain point where you sort of plateau, because you don't have the technology or the ability to really push past kind of the point we're at. You can make your little war toys, but where we're at the moment, the Lord has kind of plateaued you because He's getting ready to destroy you, man. So let me jump back into the article that we've been reading. For those of you who have not seen the other episodes, the article is written by a Mr. Doug Casey. It is titled "The Decline of Empire: Parallels Between Rome and America." We'll go back to the top to make sure that that's correct real quick. Just for anybody who hasn't seen this is the article that we are in. Like I said, it is written by Mr. Doug Casey. He took the writings of Mr. Gibbons. I believe it's Edward Gibbons, who wrote an article, wrote a long, actually, book and a piece of history, in 1776 that chronologized these events, man. So, we'll go back down to where we kind of left off, and we'll jump right back into this thing, man. All right. So once again, we left off kind of down around where where it was being shown that the Roman army had essentially become staffed almost entirely of Germanic mercenaries, all right, who held no loyalty to the idea of Rome. It looked like, it looks a lot like the American experience over the last couple hundred years, all right? First conquest, an expansion, and then global dominance, and then slippage into a decline, all right? Which is where the American system is right now, man, all right? You can account the multiple issues that Rome had at the time, but America's done the same thing, man. They conquered, expanded, and they've reached global dominance, and then they began to slip into a decline, man. So we'll go to why they believe some of the political reasons as to why this is going to happen, and why generally you will watch this play out in the U.S., man. Okay? It's somewhat misleading. However, to talk about a simple fall of Rome is much more accurate than to talk about the gradual transformation with episodes of what paleontologists describe punctuated disquil librum, I believe is how you say that word, librum. Could be wrong, but you know. There were many falls, okay? Republican Rome fell in 31 BC with the ascension of Augustus and the start of what was called the Principate. It almost disintegrated in 50 years, or disintegrated in 50 years of the mid 3rd century, a time of constant civil war and the start of serious barbarian incursions. All right. So Rome had been up against, they telling you right here, man, that Rome was in a state of constant civil war, man, amongst themselves. So first and foremost, that kind of reminds me of, the statement that if a kingdom is divided, man, that they can't stand, man. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna search that one out real quick. I want to say. Let me pull this up. Salakia, bear with me. Man, what do I look for? Yeah, Mark 3 and I believe 20. All right. Is this the one I was on it? Yeah. This is what I was looking for. Okay. So, Slacky, man, like it says here, a kingdom, Rome has always had an issue with loyalty, man. Their men turn on each other, they kill each other to ascend to power, in a kingdom that can't stand together, man. This is what the Lord says about a kingdom that can't stand together, man. Kingdom that's divided against itself. Mark 3 and 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. All right? Essentially, you know the deal, man. All right? If you're turning on your Akim, you're turning on your brothers, living in that mindset, the way the Romans was getting down, hey, man, a kingdom like that will never stand. America has the same problem. It's divided against itself, man. That's why this place will never last it won't last the test of time, man. The Lord's going to take this place out. Let's continue with the article. We'll go back to that real quick, okay? And the start of serious barbarian incursions, which the majority of those barbarians were were groups of Jake that, had migrated and basically re-upped and became these, lost barbarian tribes, man, for the most part, who had a lot of similar issues, which essentially is what brought them together to kick Rome's ass in the end time, man. All right. So like I said, man, the majority of those barbarian incursions, the majority of Jake's, and if not just Jake, maybe Jake and some of the heathen, man. All right. But a lot of those barbarian tribes consisted of Jake, man, scattered Israelites. And the destruction of Rome's silver currency, the denarius, all right? When Rome began, man, their money system was strict, they made their money with strictly gold and silver, man. Rome was balling. All right? Rome, as anything, reassembled a free society. Or resembling a free society, Rome, as anything resembling a free society, fell in the 290s, okay? And then changed radically again with Diocletian and the dominant period. More on this shortly. Maybe the end came in 378, all right? 378, when the Goths destroyed the Roman army at Adrianople and wholesale invasions began, all right? When maybe we should call the end, or maybe we should call 410 the end, when the Erlich when Erlich, a Goth who was actually a Roman general, conducted the first sacking of Rome. All right. Which you can, if you are totally interested in those events, look them up, man. I'm sure there's more information on them. But I've actually heard of Erlich and the Gulf and the invasions that they did actually sack Rome successfully. And I don't believe that man was actually Roman. He was part of the Roman army, but he was always, he always held his loyalty to the Goths because that was his tribe. I believe they have a piece on that, man. I believe on the History Channel. You can watch it. It's fairly accurate. Of course, not image wise, but information wise, it's fairly accurate. It might be the excuse me. Let me move this here. Sorry. It might be said the civilization didn't really collapse until the late 600,000s when Islam conquered the Middle East and North Africa cut off the Mediterranean commerce. Maybe we should use 1453 when Constantinople and the Eastern Empire fell. And maybe the empire is still alive today in the form of the Catholic Church, the Pope, Pontificus, wearing red slippers, as did Julius Caesar when he held that position. All right? So for you people who don't believe that Rome fell or believe that Rome did fall, man, you Edomites just revamped it, repackaged it, and gave it to us in the form of America. All right? And the whole Catholic Church and the Pope being the leader of all these other sects and whatnot, it's a whole different bag. But still, man, you are not going to remove the fact that Rome is America, man. But Rome did fall. All right? And it did fall multiple times. It was conquered by that period of time between the 1600s and 1453. Man, you had a time where Jake was really in control of that area, man. All right? Through the Middle Ages. That's a long period of time that nobody seems to want to speak about. Historically, I remember being in history class and being told that there was the Middle Ages and nobody knew what the hell happened. There was a lot of killing and death, and then the Black Death, and then everything was fantastic again. Man, everything was fantastic during the Dark Ages when you Edomites got beaten up into the caves, man. All right? You don't want to never mention that the last 8 emperors of Rome were Negroes or so. Or, excuse me, at least it's, the last few of them were Negroes, man. All right. And we will get some more scripts, man. All right. One certain reflection in the distant mirror is that the beginning of the Principate period, Rome underwent an accelerating trend towards absolutism, centralization, totalitarianism, and bureaucracy. And I think we can argue America has entered its principate with the ascension of Roosevelt in 1933. All right? And it's continued. America has become centralized, absolutism, all those things, the same concepts, the same ideas, they're being used in America today, man. America's being pushed to that. You used to think you were so free. Hey, man, they want to charge you to use the internet now. You had the FCC pass that bullshit law. They trying to shut down, really, essentially, it's for us. It's for the men of Israel that are on the highways and byways and all over the internet. Exposed, man. You got to make people pay for this information. You got to thwart them away from this. We get it. We know the famine's coming, but till then, we're going to shove this shit down your throat. All right? Since then, the president has reigned supreme over the Congress, all right? As Augustus did over the Senate. Pretenses fell off increasingly over time in Rome, just as they have in the United States. After the 3rd century, with the constant civil war and the destruction of the currency, hey man, doesn't it sound a little familiar, don't it? Principate, which the emperor, at least in theory, was just the first among equals, gave away the dominant period gave way to the dominant period from the word dominus or lord, referring to masters of slaves, which is a word that in Roman society they would constantly call their master. If you were a slave or had men over you, you would call them dominus or domina if it was a woman, which did happen in some cases, man. You know, Jake been subject to these Edomite women and other heathen women for a long time. All right. And vice versa. When the emperor became an absolute monarch, this happened with the ascension of Domitian in 284, and then after another civil war, Constantine in 306. From that point forward, the emperor no longer even pretended to be the first among equals, and was treated as an Oriental Pontiff. All right, he was essentially above all other people, man. The emperor was held in a position that he set above everyone else, man. He had no equals. All right. The U.S., but we're still a ways from reaching this endpoint, and as Esau hopes and believes. Okay, and in all reality, this thing could happen at any time, man. Although it has been noted that the president is now protected by hundreds, even thousands of bodyguards, Harriet Truman was the last president who actually dared to go out and infamally stroll about D.C. like a common citizen while in office. Okay, in any event, just as the Senate and councils and tribunes with their votees became impotent archanisms, is how you say that? Archronisms. So the U.S. institutions early on, starting with the fourth emperor Claudius in 41 A.D., the Pantheons, who had been set up by Augustus, showed they could designate the emperor, and today in the U.S. is probably true. It's Pantheons. I'm trying to say this word correctly, man. But if I'm butchering it, I apologize. The NSA, the CIA, and FBI, among others, and of course the military, will see how the next hanging Chad president election dispute gets settled. Okay, that's not really something that was all that necessary, but just it is what it is. We'll read down to this one here. My guess is that the Bubicides, the Romans called the Buboses, the Romans called them the Capitite Censi, or head count, will demand a strong leader as the Greater Depression evolves. Okay, the dollar is destroyed, and this is just reality speaking here, man, because this is what you Edomites and you heathens who are banking on the American system to maintain and sustain itself. You're gonna be greatly disappointed, man, when it comes to that that your world ain't shit, man. You ain't gonna have no great leader to pull you out of this, and you just gonna get the chip, pretty much. All right, the chip or your head chop or forced incarceration, man, into these camps. These what do they call them? Behavioral camps, re-education camps. Yeah, there you go. That's gonna be your new spot. The dollar is destroyed. It is, and a serious war gets underway. You will have to remember that the war has been the health of the state. Okay, the health of the state will always push these Edomites to war, man. They've done the same thing over and over and over and over and over. They will find involved in a war so that they can try to continue their bullshit and do what they do, man. And this time, the Lord is putting a stop to you. All right? Let me get down to the end of this thing, man, so we can get into some scripts and just pull the head off this thing. All right. The Roman emperors were expected, not least by their soldiers, to always be engaged in war. And it's not an accident that the so-called greatest U.S. presidents were war presidents. Lincoln, Wilson, FDR. We can humorously add the self-proclaimed war presidents, Baby Bush, military heroes like Washington, Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, and the hell with all these presidents, man. Teddy Roosevelt and Eisenhower are always easy to elect. My guess is the general will run for office in the next election when we will be in a genuine crisis, which we are, and it wasn't a general, we got Trump. The public will want a general partly because the military is now by far the most trusted institution in the U.S. society. His likely election will be a mistake. Numerous reasons not least that the military is really just a heavily armed variant of the postal service. It's wise to keep Gibbon's word, all right? And Gibbons is the one who wrote the essential 1970 or the 1777 edition of Rome Falling. Words of the military in mind, any order of men accustomed to violence and slavery will make for poor of civil constitution. One additional political parallel to the U.S. With the U.S. up to the Trojan in 100 A.D., all the emperors were culturally Roman from old noble families. After that, few were. The U.S. now it has its first Kenyan president. Just kidding, of course. Like the man said, man, these Edomites have been using their ability to put figureheads in place for a long time, man. All right. All of your emperors and other presidents have come from noble Roman families, man. Essentially, still the same thing. They came from Roman Edomite families, man. All right, and that just it's a thing that's continued. Where you think these people got this old money, man? You Edomites know you're Edomites. You Romans of old, you know you're so-called American Edomites, man. You're the same people. All right. Rome didn't fall in 70 AD and all that bullshit and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? No, man. No, you didn't get destroyed in the Jewish Roman wars, man. You scattered the true Israelites, is what you did, and you conquered everything they had. All right. Let me see something real quick. I don't want all of this. I have to get this shit out of here. This is what I was kind of looking for, man. All right. Let's see, man. Let me go to just sprinkle a couple scripts on here real quick, man. Move this so I can search them. Here we go. This is Nahum 3:1. And woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey have departed not, man. All right. The noise of the whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and the noise of the prancing horses and the jumping of chariots, man. All right. The horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none in of their corpses, and they stumble upon their corpses, man. Because of the multitude of whoredoms and all of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Yahweh of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. All right. I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set up these as a gazing stock. And you damn Edomites, you're gonna be a gazing stock and a laughing stock, man. All right, and the Lord is showing your nakedness, and the Lord is also showing your shame, man. You Edomites got a lot to be shameful for, man. All right, you're not just you always want to try to use the excuse. Slavery was a lot of different people. A lot of different people went into slavery. You are always and forever been the main seller of nations, man. You've not only sold the Israelites, which you were never to put your hands on, but you've sold the heathens. You've captured and conquered and sold the heathens. You've done this to everyone. That's why everybody hates you, man. You know? That's why everybody hates you, man. You Edomites always want to, play the victim card. Man, you can't play the victim card. You done victimized every nation under the sun. Let me see what I was looking for, man. Is this the one I wanted? Oh, that wasn't what I was looking for. Salakiakim. Trying to make sure I got my stuff in order, man. Oh, and when we say, I remember why I wrote this down. I wrote the scripture down, man, essentially to kind of show that, the Romans were, like I was saying at the beginning of, man, or not at the beginning of this video, but the very beginning of this, man, how the Roman society functioned in a way where you had multiple nations living in Rome, whether they be, kids, man. So when people say, oh, well, who was, that you're not part of, essentially when the prophets were coming to speak in Rome, they were speaking strictly to the Israelites, man. So as much as in me is so as much as I am, as in me is, I am ready to preach the gospel to you that are in Rome, okay? For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Yahweh, of the Mashiach, for it is the power of Yahweh unto salvation to everyone, to the first, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. Now, when he says to the Greek, he's talking about the Jewish, or not the Jewish. He's talking about the Jews and the true Israelites that were among the Greeks. Okay, that spoke Greek, had accepted Greek culture, and accepted the Yahushua, the Mashiach, as the the Savior, man. All right. Oh, this is what I was looking for. Slack brother. That's what I was looking for. Sometimes that's the one I wanted. Came back to me. Rattle off these few, and then we'll probably have to pick this back up in another part. Here it is, man. This is Psalms 55, and I'm gonna start at 9. Destroy, O Yahweh, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go about it upon the walls. Therefore of mischief also sorrow are in the midst of it. Wickedness is in the midst thereof. Deceit and guile depart not from her streets. All right. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, that I have become it. Neither was it he that hated me, that magnified himself against me. Then I would have hid myself from him. All right. You damn, man. You damn Edomites, man. You got a whole bag of shit to pay for, man. I just thank God that I ain't got nothing to do with your line, man. That's all I can do sometimes. Because you got punishment out the ass coming, man. All right. And this is all kind of running off of Habakkuk 2 and 3. Or excuse me, Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak not and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Okay, and that's speaking on this fall, man. This coming fall of America that we keep speaking of. It is going to come, man, and it's coming whether you want it to or not. So. This is 2 Peter 2 and 3, and You know, this is just for when niggas coming against you in general, when you doing the work, or even doing, you know, something like along these lines, man. These words pertain. Okay? Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking in their own lust, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? Okay? Hey, he said he was coming. All right? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continued as they were from the beginning of creation. So ain't nothing changed, man. All right? You know, just because our forefathers before us are asleep, man, nothing changed. We still belong to Yahweh. Your soul still belongs to Yahweh. We are still the nation of Israel, even though we are scattered and destroyed, man. For this they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of Yahweh. The heavens were of the old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water perished. All right. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store and reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering. All right. To usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of Yahweh will come also as a thief in the night, in the which that the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall meet with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up. All right. Seeing that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. All right. Nevertheless, we according to his promise look to the new heavens and the new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. All right. Now shut it down there, man. But hey, we're in absolute. We cannot wait, man. We can't wait to get to the kingdom. We can't wait for the new kingdom, the new heaven, man. All right, which will be here. You know, with all the heathens underneath us, you Edomites in captivity. You know, they just saw they had a big thing on television yesterday showing you about the chariot that was over Arizona, man. These people didn't know what it was. Hey, the Lord's angel, hey, this is real. You idiots are so fucked. The Lord's chariots they showed over there, man. You had these people bugged out talking about aliens, all kinds of shit. You're just ignorant, you know. The Lord is long suffering, man. You know. Let me get these last two, man, and I'll shut it down. All right. And let the words of Attila ring home, man. You know, you'll take no comfort in knowing that the Lord is coming for your ass and his 144 men that he'll be riding with, man. All right. The 144,000 that'll be the nation or the army of the Mashiach, man. You know, that's why I play that video at the beginning, man. You ain't going to have nowhere to hide your children. You ain't going to have nowhere to hide your women, man. Your children don't have to cry, man. It's going to be over for your ass. Let me read the last of this, man. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that, wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found him in peace, without spot and blameless. And according to that, the long suffering of our Yahweh is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also accorded to the wisdom upon him hath written unto you. Okay. And also in his epistles speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, and they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. All right. Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know this thing before. Beware lest ye also being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness, but grow in the grace and in the knowledge of our Yahweh, our Savior, Yahweh Shai the Mashiach. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen. All right. And when I cut it off there, man, we'll jump back into this with part 5, man. All right. With that being said, first and foremost, I hope this video was somewhat edifying to the masses, to the Akim, to the Aqua, anybody who's listening and learning, man. Shalom to you. First and foremost, I want to say all praises, glory, honor, and power unto Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors unto the elders of GMS who taught us this word, taught me this word. And I also want to give a deep and sincere shalom to all the Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity around the four corners and the four winds. To you, brothers, I say shalom. Shalom, Akim.